What's going on, hockey fans? I'm Dan K. It's the Dan K Show. That's what you're watching right now, and we have to get into the nitty gritty. We are a week for 98% of the country away from the USPHL Nationals all being set, every roster being known, each and every player being ready to make that trip. We are just moments away from talking about who we think is going to make it. Get ready for our selection show coming at you now, the USPHL National Championships 2022 version. Dan K Show. Let's chat. All right, hockey fans, it is time to get into it. The 2022 USPHL National Championships. We got to play some games to get there. 3-game series will tell the tale. We start in the Elite. We will do the Premier as well. We will be picking every single matchup remaining on this episode. Lucas, in the New England division, easy choice to start with. The Northern Cyclones already in. They got past the Junior Bruins. The 2-seeded Cyclones will make it to Nationals. They still have to wait to see which pool they will play in. It'll depend on the winner of the 4-seeded Springfield Pics and then top-seeded Islanders Hockey Club. Who you got?
I think this one for me is IHC. I just think that the Islanders Hockey Club at the Elite has been too dominant this year. You can slot any team almost in any division into where the Springfield Pics are. I think IHC still wins. So I think for Springfield, they had a great season, and it's going to be a tough matchup for sure, but I've got IHC.
I also broke a Dan Keisha rule. I didn't introduce into the show my right-hand man, my consigliere, Mon Frere from another mayor, the man, the myth, the Lucas, and he just started talking. So yes, I have a demerit for not introducing you, but also you're not allowed to speak until you're introduced into the show. We know this by now.
Well, you know what the problem is? The problem is you've got that leaf blower's been going 8 days a week behind you. You can't focus.
I'm losing my mind. Folks, I don't know if this is a Florida thing. Please, for the Florida folks that watch, let me know. I don't know at this point if they're just leaf-blowing lizards each morning. Are they just trying to scare them away? Because it ain't going to work. There's millions of them down here. But there has been leaf-blowing at this complex every day, I think since I moved in about 10 months ago. Absolutely incredible. I've got IHC as well, Lucas. I just think you look at that top forward line, there's going to be too much scoring from that group. They get enough net minding. They do just enough. I love this Springfield Pics team, though, man. If anybody's going to give IHC trouble, it's going to be Springfield. They went 19-20, 3-1 on the year. They had their great moments. They had their bad ones. I mean, -5 in the goal differential. You look at IHC, they're going to have to deal with Martin Rudolph. They're going to have to deal with Chris Foster, Simon Higgins, Zach Fox. I just think that top line right now, when it comes to IHC, going to be a little too difficult to deal with. Dan K, Lucas have IHC. That would mean for Cyclones fans that you would slot in as the 2 seed out of New England. IHC the 1. That matters for the getting to the pool play. That'll decide which pool you go into. Mid-Atlantic. Rockets Hockey Club, Jersey Hitmen, 3 versus 2 seeded. Rockets Hockey Club team that Coach Wags will tell you got out of the gates slow. This is the horse that ran the wrong way out of the gates, right? They figured it out. They started kind of getting things in the lockstep. But the Hitmen, a team that came flying out of the gates to start this season. A young team, a youthfully exuberant team, but a team that has some lapses that come with that youth. What is it going to be, Lucas? The Utes or the Rockets Hockey Club? Who wins this one? Hitmen Rockets.
This is the battle of the Dan K Show golf buddies here. This is a tough one to take any sides, but
you got to talk to both of these guys after our picks.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go with the Jersey Hitmen on this one. I know the Rockets Hockey Club has got a lot of speed. I know that they've got a lot of skill, but it's tough to score against a brick wall, let alone 6 brick walls on the ice at the same time. I just think that the way the Hitmen play defense, they're going to give not just the Rockets trouble, but anyone that they play next in trouble.
Yeah, I like your pick, Lucas. I love this Hitmen team. I love them all year. I expect them to win. Okay, I'm going to start with that. I expect the Hitmen to win. But what do I love more than anything? It's a Cinderella story, right? I'm a guy who cries every time I watch Rudy. I've seen it 1,000 times, and I cry. No, not when D-Bob gets the wrong date to the prom, but when Rudy is walking on that field. And right now the Rockets can be the Rudies, okay? Marco Taffo, Max Toomey, E.J. Gley. You love the call from Sean Brethren. Joseph Polasek. You'll look at the squad, Nick Jervis, Louis David. This team doesn't stop I think they can get enough scoring. I think they can crack the code that is the net of the Jersey Hitmen. Two incredible netminders. It's going to take a lot, and it's going to take a cooler man in net. How about Cooler Manis? You know, Demetrios. He's going to have a big game. He's going to have to play out of his mind. He has 2 shutouts this year, but he's going to have the game of his life, the weekend of his life. It's going to be a battle. I'm going for the big upset with the Rockets, Lucas.
And I think it's interesting, right? I mean, you look at this game, and we like to zero in on this because we do have a difference of opinion here. But I like the way, like, not just the way the Hitmen play defense, right? But you look at the defensemen and the way they get involved. Austin Bailey, the left defenseman, 29 points on the season, getting involved on the power play, 8 points on the power play. So there's no hesitation. The defense can transition well, and when one of my keys always is transition hockey, play in the neutral zone, getting the puck moving in the right direction, and the amount of defensemen that they've got in double-digit scoring shows me they can play well, and I think it's just going to be too overwhelming.
Yeah, Lucas, I love the pick. I love this Hitman side. I'm going for the upset here. Where I don't see the upset happening is in our next Mid-Atlantic matchup. Wilkes-Barre-Scranton Knights, that 1 seed that have been so stellar all year, taking on the New York Aviators. I've got Wilkes-Barre there. I just think they're overwhelming. They've been incredible all season long. And this is a team that has title hopes on their minds. They just can't overlook this Aviator team because it feels like every year the Aviators elite is upsetting somebody.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for sure. It's going to be a physical game, but I think Wilkes-Barre, they've just been too dominant. Similar story to IHC. There's not many teams that can stop them right now.
We move on to the Florida Division. This is where it gets really interesting, Lucas. These have been my boys all year on both of these squads. Talk about the Florida Junior Blades taking on the Tampa Bay Juniors. Tampa's going to get the home ice here at Advent. 3 versus 2 seed. The Florida Junior Blades, man, they've been my guys all year. The Tampa Bay Juniors, my local squad now. Who wins this one?
Well, this is certainly, I think, a tough one for both of us, as we've really, obviously our connection with the juniors goes back a few years, and the Junior Blades as well with this squad especially. I think this is a position that's ripe for a bit of fireworks, and I think it's going to come from the Florida Junior Blades. I've got them to win this year. I think that you've got Niche, you've got Filoramo, Bailey Kaiser, Jacob Gusty. These are the names you know. I think, though, this one is going to come down to the net minding. Falsetto is going to have to show up in a big way here. It's going to have to be impressive performance from him. The defense is going to have to be locked down. Tampa's got a lot of skill. Everybody knows that, right? So you got to shut down that skill. You got to make sure that, you keep everybody in front of you. Dan, there was a play last night in the Ranger Wild game. I know the Rangers ended up losing this one 5-2, but Kaprizov comes through the middle, tries to put on a bit of a stick show. Keandre Miller just hits him, just knocks him down, right? And that's what you have to do when you're presented with skill and speed. What do you got to do? You got to out physical him.
Yeah, and you look at this, Lucas. So you've got Florida. I look at it, and Florida have been my boys, okay? We've bumped into them down in Estero. We talked to these guys all year. You look at the squad, Filoramo and the crew. There's just so much talent. There's so much ability. They're not afraid to go into Tampa and play. They're not afraid of these boys, right? And Tampa, the same the other way around. These guys are so used to each other at this point. I think where the game starts to turn on its head is in the special teams world, right? When you look at power play success rate, there's 1 percentile difference between the two squads. Florida, the 6th overall in the elite. Tampa, the 8th overall. So that's not much, right, to shake these out. You look at the penalty kill, though. Okay, Tampa Bay at an 85% penalty kill success rate. Florida down more in that 81 range. I think the difference is going to be in the box. It's going to be who stays out of it, who stays out of trouble. You play each other as much as these teams do down in Florida. There's going to be physicality, there's going to be frustration, there's going to be upsetment, and there's going to be an absolute battle. It goes 3 games. I think I'm going to pick Tampa. And the reasoning I'm going to put behind it, because I look at the boys with the Junior Blades right now, and I want you to take that personally. We talk about taking it personally all the time, the Michael Jordan story. Dunk on Dan K. Hashtag dunk on Dank. Hashtag dunk on Dan K. They've got the Nerf hoops, Lucas, set up over the posters they made of me out here with my hand up. You got to put the Nerf hoop over it. You got to dunk on it. Hashtag dunk on Dan K for the Florida Junior Blades. And for the Tampa Bay Juniors, it's that Dan K bump. Just prove Dan K right. That's all you got to do. Next one in Florida, Lucas. This is another 1v4 where I just think it goes the way of the one. Just a team with too much going right now. The Eels don't lose to anybody. Eels, Atlanta Mad Hatters. I've got the Eels.
Yeah, I've got the Eels as well. I think they're just on a bit of a roll. Just a tough team to have to play in any situation. I've got Florida to carry through.
Yeah, why do they call me Butter, Lucas? Because I'm on a roll. That's what the Florida Eels are saying right now. And you look at the Southeast Division, this is where it gets scrape and claw tough. Carolina versus Richmond. Hampton Roads versus the Charlotte Rush. Let's start with Hampton Roads Rush, Lucas. The Hampton Roads Whalers had to battle with Potomac to the very bitter end to get in. They play the Rush. Can they get the job done on the road?
I don't think so. I think you're going to have to deal with the Rush here, and the Rush again, just far too dominant. And I think that goes to show you that every division kind of has one of those teams that just is head and shoulders above the rest. I think Charlotte's going to make it.
Lucas, I'm going to tell you right now, I legitimately, no joke, this is the weirdest thing that's ever happened on the show. I just got a text from Jack Stephanie of the Hampton Roads Whalers. I'm not kidding. Of the Hampton Roads Whalers Elite, Coach Jack Stephanie just texted me, and he said, just want to let you know, I just got done listening to the Power Rankings podcast from a week ago, and you guys nailed it coming down to the wire with us in Potomac. It really did come down to the wire. It came down to the end. But like I told you, when we get to Charlotte, things are going to get crazy. And those boys don't want to play us. Hopefully, we see you in Boston. That is the craziest thing that may have ever happened to me. Jack Stephanie might be tapping into my phone lines, but I'm still picking the Rush. We've had the Rush at number one in the power rankings for nearly the entirety of the year. Standings-wise, usually our number one in the power rankings doesn't match up with who has the most points. It does this year. This Rush side, they just do too many things well. I think Hampton Roads is going to give them all they got. I think it might go 3 games, but I've got the Rush to win this one.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. But Southeast, they tend to get a little tricky sometimes.
They do. Let's go to Carolina Junior Canes, Richmond Generals. 2 teams that went in different directions. Carolina starts hot, cools off. Richmond starts medium. They never start cold. Heats up as the year goes on. Richmond, Carolina, who you got?
I think this Richmond team is just too disciplined. Their heel used to be that they took too many penalties and they couldn't get any momentum going. Well, they have turned over a new leaf here, and I think that discipline combined with a really good defense and a ton of skill. I mean, Richmond's got both the goal scoring and I think they've got the defensive look. And I think the most impressive thing is you look at someone who does it both in Case Cook, like 37 points as a defenseman. I think that's a sign that, again, same argument with the Hitmen. They play well in transition. They're very balanced, depth in scoring, 15 players with double-digit points. That's really all I need to see.
Lucas, here's what I'm going to tell you. The Carolina Junior Canes and the Richmond Generals are not as far apart as most people might think right now. I feel like there's somehow there's this weird guys in this hockey world right now, the USPHL, where people think like Richmond, then Carolina right now. And it ain't that. You look at some of the differentiators in standings right now. The Carolina Junior Canes, Lucas, lost 5 times in overtime or a shootout this year. The Carolina Junior Canes, one of the top power play success rates in the league, also 7th overall in penalty kill rate. What I will tell you, Richmond's got the best power play unit in the game. Okay, 29% success rate this year, nobody better. 3% away are the Florida Eels at 26%. That's pretty ridiculous. At 61 power play goals for, that's also the most scored. Well, here is where things get interesting. Richmond on the penalty kill this year. Not good. Not good. Coach Like would tell you, the players would tell you, everybody would. 15th overall nationally in the elite. 78.3% success rate. Want to know something about the Carolina Junior Canes when they're shorthanded? Not only are they 84% on the PK, they have the most shorthanded goals in the league allowed, which will be interesting. It's going to all be special teams. It's one of those where there's enough bad for each side, enough good for each side to make this thing fun. It is going to be 3 games. It is going to be, I think you got 2 games that are decided by a goal, 1 game that's a blowout, because that's just how the Southeast tends to work. Richmond, 4-3 in overtime. to go to Natties. I think it's going to be scraping and clawing to get in there. So I got Richmond. So that'll tell you the elite before we move on to the Premier. We both obviously have the Cyclones. They're in already. IHC to beat the Pics, both of us. I have the Rockets. Lucas has the Hitmen. Dan going for the upset. Lucas staying with those boys from Jersey. Both with the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. We both have the Florida Eels, Richmond Generals, and Charlotte Rush. And the last one where we have a difference, Lucas with the Florida Junior Blades to beat the Tampa Bay Juniors at Envent Health Ice Center. We'll be back with our premier selections right after this.
You are watching The Dan K Show. Everything USPHL. From the NCDC to the Premier and Elite Leagues. The Dan K Show with Dan K and Lucas Jones.
All right, hockey fans, we've got a lot to get through in the Premier, so unfortunately we're going to have to go quick with this one, okay? There's just too many teams. We can't keep you guys here for hours. Ratings are better when the shows are quicker. So what we're going to do? What are we going to do? We're going to talk Premier selections. Lucas, Premier, Pacific, that's an alliteration, and this is a crazy matchup. The 2-seeded Las Vegas Thunderbirds head out to Fresno, California to take on them monsters. Fresno Monsters, Vegas Thunderbirds, who you got?
Well, look, I mean, the Monsters have been so good all season. Their goal differentials are absolutely monstrous. They have put teams in their place all season long, and yet I got this feeling. I got this feeling that a team from Vegas, this Showtime Thunderbirds team, I think they got some magic left in them. I think they're going to win this one.
You got a fever. I got a fever. And the only prescription is more monsters. Okay, I got a chance to call a 11-8 hockey game at the showcase in New England, the Winter Showcase, and ever since then, I have watched every Fresno Monsters game religiously. I love this team. They've got McNasty and the boys. These guys get it done. Step on it, Skaversky. This guy's going to be skaverting to the front of the net all day long. Monsters in 2. I think the Monsters sweep it out there in the Pacific. I'll stand on top of that mountain till the end. Next up, after a huge upset in the first round, the 7-seeded New Hampshire Monarchs, just a series away from Nationals, but standing in their way, the number 1 overall Northern Cyclones.
Yeah, I've got Northern here. Again, I think what New Hampshire did in that first round is absolutely incredible. Huge testament to the work they've done this year. But Northern's just too good. They're such a complete team.
Northern got scared by Twin City in the last round. The 8 seed nearly knocked them out of it. I think that they right the ship. I think they needed that moment. I think the adversity was a good thing. I think it's hard to ever want to take an L in a playoff game, but I think that it works for the boys, and I think Coach Dubs gets them there. I think the Northern Cyclones will have both their elite and premier sides at Nationals in Hudson, New Hampshire, Cyclones Arena, starting March 24th. Next up, the Junior Bruins, the 4 seed, taking on the 6-seeded Islanders Hockey Club. Lucas, hope we can hear this one. Bruins versus IHC, hosted at the beautifully spacious New England Sports Center.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things you can say about a Junior Bruins team, and there's so much commentary you could put on the side of IHC as well. And I just think that here, you talked about getting punched in the face a little bit in round 1 and how that can be helpful. I think the Islanders Hockey Club, they wore that punch. We've been talking about the Bridgewater Junior Bandits sort of all season long and how good they've been, and the fact that IHC was able to hang tough, get out a win. I like the Islanders Hockey Club here, Dan.
Yeah, I thought Bridgewater, when I saw South Shore get upset, I thought, well, that's great for Bridgewater. We'll see him at Natties. And for IHC to win in the longest premier game of all time, 3 overtime thriller. That's those 20-minute overtimes, too. That's no joke, folks. For them to win that one, I think that they roll that momentum in. I think they go into the New England Sports Center, a place that everybody in junior hockey has. I think you have to go play there 20 times to be considered a hockey player in the game of hockey in New England. They'll go. They'll beat the Junior Bruins. I got IHC and the Northern Cyclones. That's both of us, Lucas, with the Northern Cyclones and IHC making the trek out of the New England division. Let's go to the Atlantic East. 2-seeded New York Aviators, 1-seeded Rockets Hockey Club. I'd love to see both of them at Nationals. We don't live in that world. We live in this one. Who comes out on top?
Well, if we got to live in this world here, Dan, I'm going to have to go with the Aviators on this one. And I think the Aviators just put together such a scary team, such a fearsome style of play. They intimidate you right from the drop, right?
Yeah.
And I know the Rockets have skill. I was going to say I know the Rockets have a ton of skill. I know they're an incredible team. Their defense is second to none, right? Their net minding, their coaching staff, the X's and O's are just flawless. But will that overcome the raw power of the New York Aviators? In this case, I don't think so. I think the Aviators are going to come out on top.
Yeah, Lucas, this one's really hard for me, right?
Yeah.
Like, I look at it, and I always pick the Aviators. You know me. When we get to postseason time, I'm an Aviators guy through and through. Ever since they nearly won a national championship and made me get an Aviator tattoo, I don't mess around anymore with
No.
picking against the New York Aviator. But I'm going to do it this year, okay? And I just think Coach Kilcoyne and this crew in the Rockets Hockey Club organization, I feel like they're going to find a way here. I think that it's going to be 3 games. I think it's going to come down to another close one, and I think it's the Rockets Hockey Club, maybe like 4-2. They've got to get redemption. Last year, the Aviators knocked them out. Their season ended because of this New York Aviators team. This year, they've got to get redemption in their minds. They got to imagine that entire locker room is going to be ready for that opportunity to get that redemption. Rockets really close. I would not be surprised. There's no upset in this series. These are 1A 1B right here. Either side could win it. Let's go to the Atlantic West. Utica Comets, Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. Utica scared a little bit there by Hershey, Lucas. The Cubbies nearly won that one. Now they got to take on the most dangerous team in America when it comes to scoring the puck and playing a game of hockey, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights. Can they get it done? I say Wilkes-Barre. Who you got?
I say Wilkes-Barre as well. I just think that Utica, a good team, obviously, and I think Hershey, too, can really build off that good series against Utica, but Wilkes-Barre has been staring at that #1 spot all season. I don't see any reason to change that prediction here.
Midwest East, let's get out there. This is the hardest game to not pick an upset in, possibly forever for Dan K. Detroit Fighting Irish is the 4 seed, taking on the Chicago Cougars. This Cougars team's, they should win. You put them in 100 games against each other. The Cougars should win more than they lose, right? DFI though, I don't know. I've loved Shane Romback all year. Romback is just so scary at the blue line. He's so good. He's so talented. I'm gonna take the Cougars, and it's gonna be difficult to do so. That's my pick.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Cougars as well, but I will say this. This game to me is even money. There's no favorite here, and we had to kind of haggle over whether we were going to pick DFI or the Cougars here. Chicago's made a lot of improvements over the season. Their offense is good. Their defense is rock solid. I think that's going to be the difference.
Yeah, I mean, overall, you look at Parksy, you look at the boys out there, you look at EIEI Goal, Mr. McDonald skating the ice. The crew in Chicago, there's just too much talent. There's too much. I think the depth is just too good. I think this is a team that can make a run when they do get out the USPHL Nationals. I've got the Chicago Cougars. Lucas does as well. Next one, this is a tough one. Metro Jets Development Program, them boys from MJDP, taking on the second-seeded Fort Wayne Spacemen, who might be the hottest team in America in the last few months, man. They have just absolutely lit it up.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I think, again, it's going to come down to whether MJDP's defense can hold on, whether their net minding can get hot, how good is Soderberg in high stress situations. I've got MJDP here. I'm pretty confident. I've seen them, really leverage their defensive ability. The big thing is you can't have a lapse. Fort Wayne is too talented. They'll score 1, 2, 3 goals before you lock it back down. So you're going to have to play edge of your seat, high wire hockey for the entire weekend.
Yeah, I'm going with the Spacemen. I understand the hot goaltender. I understand the net mouth out thought process of MJDP, the Metro Jets overall. I understand their ability to lock it down. I do think that they can do that in this series. I think they can take care of business. But there's something, every year there is a couple storylines, right? In any league, in any sport, anywhere, where you just you have a feeling. There's a gut understanding that there's something special going on. And in Fort Wayne right now, there's something special going on with this side. I think the Spacemen are going to take care of business. I think they do it in 2 games, Lucas. I think they protect home ice. I think the faithful in Fort Wayne are going to be punching their tickets to Natties, and we're going to be seeing them in Hudson, New Hampshire in just 2 weeks' time. I've got Fort Wayne. Let's go to the Midwest West now. This is where, they talk about chalk. What is chalk? Chalk is when you pick the favorites, right? Why do they call it chalk, Lucas? Let me give everyone a history lesson. So back in the day in England and Scotland, across the pond as we call it, cheerio. Apologies to Kyle Watson and the Watson family of the Hampton Roads Whalers. When we go across the pond there, they used to not have electronic boards. So when they would put the betting favorites on the board, they would have to literally write it in chalk. And a man would hold it up at the end of your aisle, or a lady would hold it up at the end of your aisle and say, here are the odds. And only the favorites would be in chalk. You'd have to ask to bet an underdog. You'd have to come up and say, okay, what about the 3-horse who's not on there? So chalk was known as just betting the favorites, right? So I think this is the opposite of chalk. I think teams coming off the board here are going to win this one. Moose Blue Ox, I've got the Moose. Havoc River Kings, I've got the Havoc. I've got the 3 and the 4 seeds coming out of the Midwest West. I love this Blue Ox team. I love Coach Jay Witta. And I, last year, didn't pick the Blue Ox. And they won. So I refuse to pick them now. I'm not going to pick them. Because if I pick them this year and they don't make it, then guess what? I'm going to get a call from everybody in Minnesota, in beautiful Coon Rapids, Minnesota, saying, why did you pick us? The Dan K bump went the wrong way. No, I got the Moose. I got the boys that showed up in the Daisy Dukes to win Paul Bunyan's axe and had it taken from them by this incredible Blue Ox side. I will not jinx the boys in Coon Rapids. If they win, they are more than welcome to come chirp me at Nationals. I'll see them in Hudson.
Well, I agree with you on the Havoc. I actually have the Havoc beating the River Kings here. They quietly have assembled a super team, I think, out there, Dan. And they've just been so persistent, so difficult. I think the River Kings, obviously when they're good, they're good. They fall into these ruts sometimes, and if you catch them at the right time, you can really make them pay. I got the Havoc right now. I'm going to go with the Blue Ox, though. I just think that, once again, this is a first-place team that has had their eye on one thing all season, and I don't think that at the final step, they're going to stumble. So I've got the Blue Ox. I think you just have to kind of replay the tape at the Axe game, get out, score a couple, lock it down.
Lucas, why is the Fish Hospital a bad place to go?
Why?
Because they do have doctors, but they only have sturgeons. They don't have any surgeons. That's it. And you look at it, this is a sturgeon-type team with the Hudson Havoc, right? The hands have been all of it. Coach Wally, one of my favorite coaches on the planet. Brett Wall, building the wall in Hudson. I love what Marty's got together in Wisconsin. This Wisco team, you put them anywhere, any place, anytime. The Wisconsin Rapids River Kings will give you absolute trouble. But there is something about this Cheese Curd Cup matchup. Hudson Havoc, River Kings. I think they should put the Cheese Curd Cup out on the ice, and I think they should play for it this weekend. I think the boys should play for the Cheese Curd Cup. Call the great folks at Grace's Family Restaurant. Fill that thing with cheese curds. Get her to the ice, and let's play for it. Havoc, River Kings, let's see. We're going to see one of these sides at Nationals. We're either going to have a River Kings side chirping us hard, or we're going to have a Havoc side high-fiving. We'll see. Great Lakes. 4-seed Pittsburgh Vengeance have the tall task of dealing with our Dan K Show top-ranked team, the Metro Jets.
The Metro Jets are a powerhouse. And I think for that reason, I got to go Metro. But I do want to say that this Vengeance team is consistently so good. And even when they're down, they are never out. Right? And I said it when we saw them in Detroit, and I said it all year long, is that they're a team that's going to surprise you. They are a team that's going to do well. They are a strong team under good leadership. They have a good foundation for the next few years. I think the Metro Jets are going to win, but man, watch out. Watch out for the Vengeance. Don't sit back if you're Metro.
The Metro Jets have won 12 consecutive games entering the playoffs. They come off a bye, well-rested. 39-4-1-0. Every time they lost a game this year, we treated it as if they lost 55 and as if the sky was falling and Chicken Little were running through the town. They've lost 5 times, 4 in regulation. They have scored 300 and 27 goals. They've allowed 67. This is a team that is unrealistic in its ability, its potential, and what it sets its sight on every year, and that they accomplish all the unrealistic goals they set for themselves. And they continue to reach benchmarks. They continue to reach milestones. They continue to just lead the way. They win. They beat Pittsburgh. I agree with you. I love what Coach Krucky and the Vengeance have done out here, man. They gave Cincinnati all they could handle with the Cyclones. Pittsburgh is going to be tougher than you think in it, but this is a buzzsaw. This is a Metro Jets team, and this is like Thanos was inevitable. So is the Metro Jets at USPHL Nationals right now until someone proves me wrong. Next up, Toledo Cherokee, Columbus Mavericks in a series that is much more pesky than you think. I even talked to an inside source in Toledo who said that they are working hard to ensure the boys don't overlook this Columbus team.
Yeah, don't look past Columbus either. And that's what I love about playoff time, right? Is you come in, you've been dominant all season long. Toledo's had their statement wins. They came out to Chicago. They beat a Moose team by a handful of goals, right? That a Moose team that Dan thinks is going to Nationals. So Toledo definitely has Nationals written all over them, single-digit losses, 177 goal differential. But Columbus, again, to me, they remind me of the Havoc, where they've been building all year. They've been adding. They've been getting ready for this, and they are at their best right now. I could see this going 3 games. I do think Toledo is going to win, but again, do not look past the Mavericks because they will send you packing.
Who's the number one power play unit in the game right now? It was the Northern Cyclones, who used to lead both the power play success rate and the penalty kill success rate. It's the Toledo Cherokee, 32.8% success rate on the power play for Toledo. 3rd overall in penalty kill rate, 88.2%. The Toledo Cherokee. Special teams is where you win a coin flip in the game of hockey, and Toledo has got it in droves. They don't worry about going to the box. They don't worry about taking penalties. I think they get the job done here. I think it's Toledo. I think it's all chalk, as we gave you that lesson earlier in the show. It's all chalk coming out of this Great Lakes division, Metro and Toledo for both of us. Florida, let's get crazy. 3-seeded Florida Junior Blades, 2-seeded Tampa Bay Juniors at the Advent Health Ice Center. I've said it all year. This Tampa Bay Juniors team is one of the best quality teams I've seen all year long. They continue to put that on paper for me. They have their lapses. They have their moments. But I think the boys on home ice hold it together. I think that I think it's another 3-game series. I think both of their series, their Elite and their Premier, they have to play the Junior Blades at both levels. I think they both go 3 games. I think this one goes away to Tampa, though.
Yeah, I agree with you. I like the Tampa Bay Juniors here. We said it. They're one of the few Premier teams, I think, that we've said could be Tier 2 teams if you just moved them up a level. And I think they showed that at the Winter Showcase. I think they carry that momentum here. Tampa Bay Juniors, they are locked and loaded.
4 versus 1, Atlanta Mad Hatters Eels, craziness in the Florida division. Same matchups at each level. It's going to create upset. It's going to create vitriol. It's going to create a battle royale all weekend long. This Florida Eels team, Lucas once told me he thought they were going to win a national championship this year. So I trust that guy. I'm going to listen to Lucas Jones, and I'm going to make the Lucas Jones pick here, the Florida Eels.
Yeah, I'm obviously going to go Eels as well. This Mad Hatters team, I think, has surprised a lot of people down the stretch. A couple of times they've definitely come through and beaten some teams that a lot of people didn't think they would. It'll be nice getting to watch an Atlanta Mad Hatters game, being able to see all the action. But, I think despite that, I think the Eels are going to win.
Yeah, it's always good to see what's going on out there, Lucas, and that is the goal at this one. You want to do Mountain or Southeast first? Because the next one's going to be the last one. Mountain or Southeast?
Let's do Mountain first.
Okay, so I think we should pick through all the games. So I think I didn't talk to you about this beforehand.
Oh, you did not.
I think I should do that. That's called professionalism. But we don't have that here. We have Dan K. I think we're going to go Pueblo, Utah. Who do you got?
I've got Utah here. I think Pueblo just hasn't found it, and Utah, they're a super team. It feels like they are just out there getting guys ready to go. And talk about buzzsaw, they might be that.
Yeah, this Outliers team, there are some outliers there, right? And this is going to be a tough team to deal with for Pueblo. They're going to have to do it on the road. I've got Utah as well. Saran Wrap is back and ready to lock down on the defensive end. I think that makes them a national title contender. 3 versus 2. NoCo. Ogden. Are you loco for NoCo? Are you gonna cheer for Ogden? I don't. I didn't have a rhyme ready to go for Ogden Mustangs.
Are you logged in for Ogden?
Oh,
There it is.
and
Out of
everyone can
nowhere.
turn on their AIM accounts and log in. That's a reference none of the players get. Okay, BRB, TTYL, NoCo, Ogden. Who you got?
I've got NoCo here, but I've got NoCo in 3 games, and in all honesty, I think they're going to lose game 1.
Yeah.
I think NoCo is going to drop game 1, and I think they're going to come back and pick up the next 2. Something about that NoCo team. I mean, I know Ogden is the favorite here. They bested them in the regular season by 9 points. The goal differential, Ogden obviously has them beat as well, but, you know, just if NoCo can find the stretch, because we've seen them have it, right? We've seen them have these stretches of a handful of games where they are just the absolutely most dominant team out there. If they can find that for 3 games, I think they can beat Ogden, despite Ogden coming in with some more statistical superiority.
Yeah, this is a toss-up for me, and I really just have to pick who do I like more, you know, Stephen Bell or Brendan Price, and that's
Just rule number 1, make it personal.
no, I'm not going to do that. I love them both. They're both the best. They work together. These guys, I mean, I'll tell you what, folks, if you want to know why it's fun to do what we do and why, like, the guys who just do it right, you want to talk about 2 guys who do so much work out there in the mountain. The Northern Colorado Eagles and Brendan Price, the Ogden Mustangs and Stephen Bell, man. These guys just every day do it right. They're so much fun to watch work together. You know, they should be rivals, right? That's what you would think in the game in the sporting world. But these guys, they work together right. They do it right. Just the class acts of Ogden and NoCo. A round of applause to both of these organizations. Absolutely incredible work by both groups here. And I'm going to pick Ogden. I'm going to make right after that. I'm going to tell I'm not loco for NoCo here. I'm going to pick Ogden. I think the 26% success rate in the power play, 84% in the PK. I think this is a team that they haven't won much in overtime this year when they've gone that way. And I think if you can keep this thing in regulation, you can stay out in front of NoCo. I think you can find your superiority there. I think you can get a win. I think it's a 3-game series again. I think this is going to be a knockout, drag-out brawl. And, you know, Lucas, so that means Utah or NoCo who's going to nationals, because this Mountain Division will be the only division still left with something to decide after this weekend. After this weekend, everyone else will be done. The Mountain gets 1 team to nationals. Who's the team, Utah or NoCo for you?
That is a tough question. That's one where I would go with NoCo again.
Wow. NoCo over Utah.
I will say this. I think whatever team wins between Ogden and NoCo will beat Utah. So that's kind of where I'm sitting here. I think whichever team comes out of this 2v3 matchup will end up being at nationals. So in that sense, I do have to go with NoCo. For some reason, these 2 teams, I think, having to compete in a division with Pueblo, with Utah, and with the first half of the season Provo Riverblades, they become that much stronger, right? When you have a competitive division, same thing we say about the Southeast, right? You look at a 3 seed, a 4 seed, they can compete with the number 1 seed just as much as anybody else. So when you have a highly competitive division, I think whoever comes out of this matchup will end up beating Utah.
I think that it's Ogden. And I think that the reasoning behind it is Utah has had Ogden's number all year long. And every once in a while, you just get a feeling on something, right? You just get a feeling about a crew, about a group. I just feel like, I think in this Mountain Division, I don't know if there, I think it's like the Southeast now, where there's not much of a difference between 1 and 5, right? Like there's just such a similarity and all, and there's such a competitive nature, and they understand each other so well, they play each other so often. I think you know what you're dealing with when you look across the ice. So I think NoCo could win it. I think Ogden could win it. I think Utah should win it, right? I think they're the best team out there. I think if you had to make favorites, obviously you'd look and you'd say Utah's the guys to beat. I just think that everything, it's going to be absolutely it's going to come down to who plays best in the net, and I think that's what it's going to be. I think Ogden gets the edge there. I think it's Ogden coming out of the Mountain Southeast Division. Let's start with Junior Cain's Rush, 4 versus 1.
This is one where I think the Rush have the edge. I think that their team has just been, despite some, they would call them struggles, 10 losses on the season, couple of issues, especially with having to close out games in regulation, which could hurt them. But I think overall, the Charlotte Rush have proven that they are one of the most dominant teams in the Premier and certainly in the Southeast.
The Charlotte Rush this year have been one of the lowest outputters on the power play in the country. Crazy enough, as a 1 seed in the division, as a nearly unbeatable squad wherever they go, they do it all on even strength. So you can look at that number, you can look at 15.5% success rate in the power play, and you could say, oh boy, here we go. Or you could say this might be one of the best even strength teams in hockey. Okay, those are the two ways you can look at this. You look at the Carolina Junior Canes, and this is a team that started the year looking like the best team in the Southeast. They started the year looking like they might be unbeatable. And they kind of settled back down to earth here with injuries, with all you deal with kind of battling through the season. You look at Charlotte, 169 goals for, 109 against, 2 wins in a row coming to the playoffs. They've gotten a little bit of heat going. Carolina's 5-5-0-0 in their last 10 entering the postseason. I think it's closer than you think. I think the Southeast, it's always, there's nobody you can overlook. I got the Charlotte Rush coming out, though, so both of us have the Rush. Finally, this might be the series of the weekend. My boy Watto. Kyle Watson. The man from across the pond. The man who can score pucks like nobody's business. The guy who was a viral superstar through Barstool Sports after being hit by a golf ball at a driving range from a significant other. A man who, at the Hampton Roads last game we called, perfectly summed up exactly what the score would be before the game ever even finished. This guy is Vicky Valancourt. He says Hampton Roads going to win it. But I don't know. You know that I like to say, here comes the Generals. Because the Hamilton musical, the pomp and circumstance. I've got Richmond in the closest series of all time. I think it's 2-1 Game 1 Hampton Roads, 2-1 Game 2 Richmond, and a 9-8 Game 3. Richmond wins it.
I do like that when given the choice between deep statistical analysis and saying the words you like to say, we go with saying the words you like to say. That
100% every time.
That is perfect. On the other hand, no, I agree. I think this might be the weekend game to watch. If you have an odd time start for your team, right, or you find yourself with no hockey to watch, these are the games to watch, to tune into. I've got the Whalers, and I know I've been yelled at because the Whalers don't want my support. They don't care to have me on their side. But you know what? It's not up to you guys. It's up to me. I choose who I pick to go through to nationals. I like the Whalers. I think that their team is deadly. They're deadly on the offensive end. They're so fast. They're so skilled. Daly, Adler, Paget, their top 3 scorers. Yes, they're going to have to come through. But here's who I think the impact player is going to be. I think your impact players are actually going to be your defensemen on this one. Rangel, Carlisle, Colburn. Those are the guys that have to show up. And Dylan Murtaugh, 9 points on the season, a defenseman's defenseman, right? The defensemen are going to be the difference maker here. You've got to support your netminders, Vaught and Flageol. I think that's where it starts. I think that's where it ends. I think the Hampton Roads Whalers are moving on.
What's this, Lucas? It's a Dan K. Show pen. You sold me. I'm changing my pick.
Oh, look!
I'm taking Hampton Roads. I'm taking Hampton Roads. Forget about the things I like to say, because you know why? Because Lonzo, man, some of the best hair in the game, according to Kyle Watson. This young man is going to NEC. He just committed. He's got a college commitment under his belt now. I got the boys from Hampton Roads. All roads lead to Hampton. I got the Whalers, baby. Whalers beat the Richmond Generals, and when the Richmond Generals win, I guarantee they better be booing us at Nationals. I'm going to be so pumped for it, so excited.
I can already
can't wait.
The faces of the 6 people who are going to come right up to us, thermos in hand.
As long as the dog's there.
Coffee at 8 a.m. going, hey, look who showed up.
Look who's here.
Yeah,
look at us.
You know what, though? Those are the 6 faces that we love to see every time that we see Richmond at an event, though, because
I think they're our favorite people.
They are, and that's what makes it, right? The best thing about doing these picks is we have really not just met each of these teams at some event, but we've met the fans at different events, at different showcases. We talk to the fans, we talk to the parents, we get some coaches and players messaging us, texting us. So it feels like you're having to pick between like your favorite nephews in a sense, but in another way, we're so happy that we get to be involved with these teams. We're going to be even happier with all the ones we get to see at nationals. Good luck this weekend. There's a lot of close games on the schedule.
Big stuff to come. Lucas, your parting words for the folks getting ready for Natties. Get the job done. That's it. That's all I got for you. It's time to get to work. Bill Belichick said it best. Do your job. Do your job this weekend. Whatever that job is, whatever you need to be. You're a fourth line forward, get out there, be fourth line hitting, right? You're a first line guy, you're that top skater, you're that top scorer, put the puck in the back of the net. You're a netminder, step up. There's no more excuses. This isn't the power rankings anymore, right? We don't get to come back after a loss next week and complain about the picks from the Dan K Show. We get to show why we were right or wrong. And that's what you get this weekend. It's time. It's title time. Let's go. No more. All the work's behind us, that off-season work. Every ounce we put in is to win now. Win today. Good luck, everybody. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Keep battling. When Dan K's on the mic, it's always hockey night.